This is part 2, Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Howard Gardner developed the theory of multiple intelligence. He believes instead of having two different types of intelligence, we have 8 different ways of learning and thinking. Instead of focusing on verbal, linguistic, and mathematical logical, we should also focus on musical rhythmic, and body kinesthetic. Gardner's theory has become a success as it now allows many students like us to explore different options of career to learn from, instead of focusing mostly on reading and doing math. Many had questions about whether exams are necessary or overpriced to hire a tutor or even buy a book when it's not necessarily most of the time. And you could find most of the books online nowadays, so I feel like his theory does fall towards our studies of intelligence. Solvay's and Mayer's theory of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, how an individual or person understands other people's emotions. Peter Solvay and John May are 2 researchers who introduced the theory of emotional intelligence, proposed a 4-branch model, which is perception, expression of emotion, use of emotion to facilitate thinking, understanding of emotion, and then the 4th one is management of emotion of oneself and as well as of others. Theories of moral development and reasoning is another part of the chapter outline. Moral reasoning is how we think about what is right and what is wrong. In Dan's case, his own thoughts was that he was right all the time, which is why many of his friends distinct from him. He was also known to have a rigidity attitude, which is the reason why he always assumed that his beliefs, his thoughts, his own emotions were always right, even though he didn't fully think about others or others' emotions. Moral development is what they call in the book, the process of formulating moral reasoning. Example, when we are children, we start to obey rules, such as in class or at home, because we are afraid to be punished. As adults, we tend to realize why these rules are important for us. It helps us become independent. Not only that, but it helps us understand how in the real world we have to follow laws, and how these laws could be very severe, such as going to jail or prison. Moral judgment is opinions whether an action is good or wrong. For example, someone is stealing, but at first we are quick to judge as an individual, as a person. We are quick to judge someone for stealing. We think of it as a bad thing to do, as we judge them as embarrassing for them, because we think like, oh, you have money, you should know in the first place as an adult that that's wrong. But then once they share their reason or discuss why they did it, we tend to have an understanding towards their actions, such as them saying that they need to feed their family. We all relate to that, as there's times where we work but the money we earned isn't enough to help feed everyone in the family. So we understand, which is pretty interesting, how moral judgments is our own opinions. 3 levels of moral development are the first one is the pre-conventional level. Children don't have mortality, and their decisions are often shaped by the consequences of following or breaking rules and the standards that adults put on them. The conventional level, individuals accept social rules about what is right and what is wrong. The third one is post-conventional level, individuals live by their own ethical principles. Kilber's theory has been questioned in law, such as being criticized for not focusing on local and cultural ideas, such as Chinese kids are taught to respect elders. In Dan's case, he grew up with that culture in which he had to respect his mother as well as his sibling, having to respect him as he was the oldest one and the only male in the family. He grew up to that culture. Another criticism is related to gender, because he only used male research participant. He didn't fully got a right answer towards his theory. There was not enough evidence towards it, as he only did one gender, when in reality it would have been better if he done male and female to see the differences between that. The problem is that when it comes to the states, the female often scored at stage 3, which involves concerns about being a good person. Males would often score one more level higher, which is stage 4, which they focus on adhering to norms and laws of society. Another researcher called Coral Gillian introduced the concept of ethical care. Her theory did make a point, but was criticized as well for her work because even though she did both participate, male and female, it was revealed that the small amount of females that were there or used for didn't fully exceed as evidence. In the book, it says more judgments and more behaviors are influenced by and sensitive to culture. Terrell developed a model that consisted of moral development. The first one is the moral domain focuses on principle of right and wrong that impact the rights of others. The second one is conventional domain focuses on right and wrong, but to social rules and expectation. For example, children participating in activities with family or even school.